All right, guys. Here we are. Some more BTS. Let's get ready. Speaking of different genres on this channel, on the stream, BTS Wishing on a Star. Let's dive in.
One, two, three, four.
So this is a great example of really good straight tone, right? It's hard to do straight tone. It's harder to sing with good straight tone than it is to sing with like full of vibrato, right? That's because of the specificity needed in the occlusion. Yes, if you're too breathy to create straight tone, it doesn't bring your chords together. What you want is for your chords to be coming together very optimally to where they don't vibrate elsewhere. And it does require a degree of tension in other spots to maintain that without letting the whole mechanism vibrate. But that's, to create good vibrato and a lovely tone full of beautiful sound, you have to find a sweet spot. And that's that sweet spot that vibrates the chords and lets everything around it, create multiple profiles. Everything's vibrating evenly. To create straight tone, you have to let those chords come together, but everything else has to kind of be relaxed and in place. It's from the Japanese muster. They wear always something more fancy for the Japanese army. We don't really mind. So they dress up more fancy for the Japanese BTS army. That's very fun. I love it. Oh, and it's a Japanese song. That's good to know. I don't speak Japanese, so I would have never known that.
Oh, star. Whoa, star.
Swagger, man. I wouldn't know, Capriati. Taking a quick breather. Dude. Their voices together is so nice. It's cool. The last time we listened to them, we were in like a bigger stadium, right? And we were hearing kind of the almost a delayed post-produced audio, but this is so clearly not post-produced, and you get their kind of natural tones coming through. I mean, it's a little bit produced, obviously, but it's lesser than the last time we heard them, and so we can kind of get a much clearer idea of how their voices are blending, right? So Jimin is really, he sticks out so well as the highest harmony. There is something so like silver about his sound, and it's right. It just fits right in there, and it comes out and you're like, oh, okay, there's Jimin. And then when he and Jin sing together, it's very similar. It's like surgically precise to fit together almost, because it's similar ranges. They're both very high voice, both very similar registration being used, but it works so well. It's like you couldn't get that sound with one voice, but it's almost like they come together to sound like a single voice. Albeit one voice, wouldn't be able to sing two pitches like that, right?
better than a billion bars, yeah, I'm wishing on a star. Keep me dreaming hard, and no matter where you are, I'm running with my heart, keeping my feet on Mars. Say no matter how it fall, I'll be always restart. 고라이 되는 뭐 지수무 캐래도 다 토할 코로나미다 캐래 하테테 뭐뭐 리는 마마 대.
Which artist is gonna go solo first from BTS? I don't know. You tell me.
소래로 마마 대 우차이로 나라 나니 못 들어가고 원이다.
Yeah, don't they all have like their solo songs and stuff, right? Yeah.
Wherever you are.
All right. So when you don't get post-production, one thing that post-production does fix is little pitch issues. Should I just get... I'm going to get shredded for this if I like call it out. Who gives a fuck, man? Listen to this group harmony. There's a little bit of a... They're probably tired. Yes. I mean, these guys work harder, physically harder than so many singers. Purely by proximity, purely by everything. All right. So the BTS stans in chat are telling me I won't get flamed. Again, I don't think this is a reason to like shit on them, right? These guys are literally machines of singing, of performance. So Jimin is off key a little bit, right? And that comes from a lack of breath support. But he's not the good thing about it is that you can be off key in a couple different ways. You can be distorting the sound a little bit, that gets you off key, and that usually happens more with people who are consistently off key. Jimin is under supporting the breath a little bit, which comes from it's a sign of fatigue, right? And what's good is that he's not compromising his actual technique to make up for it, right? And when you have these in-ear monitors in and everything, it's hard to get everything perfect, right? So he's going up for this high note, and he's not compromising any part of his technique to get back on pitch, but he uses his breath, and eventually it gets in gear to the point where it does get to the pitch. Now let's hear this quick little snippet of what's happening, and it's a really professional approach to a situation that is difficult. When you're on tour, you're performing every day. You know, you do 3-hour shows. It's the end of the show, and you're exhausted. This is what a professional does when they're in that situation, and something doesn't go 100% correct. And then he gets there, right? And then he gets there. So instead of doing something that would make his sound get out of the texture, right? By distorting and squeezing or doing anything unnatural to get to the sound, to get to the right sound, he's just relying on that breath, and then he eases his way back in. That was all breath driven. That's all really good technique happening. You know, even with the best technique in the world, you can't get around physical fatigue if you are at the top of your game and doing everything correctly. 3-hour concerts are it's like an Olympic feat what these guys do. And so if you get to that point where your support isn't enough and your fatigue is dropping that air and you just kind of miss shoot by like a half step, you got to get back into it through support, which is what he does. He doesn't distort. He doesn't crunch anything here. It's a very professional way to deal with out-of-tune singing. Little small blips of out-of-tune singing. So there you go. And then no problem. Yeah, I use IEMs when I'm doing my own recordings.
嫌でなくやり手まで本気で二度はないし予可能性のリミットないさ限界 You can be a star, you can be a star 触れるな先を明るく照らすから Like a star
Nice. Yeah, I mean, IEMs are really good tools. I use them when I do like music video type cinematic things, which I get asked to do sometimes. But yeah, I mean, these guys are fucking top notch. Yeah, on a huge stage like that, like you're literally at the whim of, you know, whatever configuration you have the monitors, you know, as whoever's post producing it. So it's hard to hear. You know, it's not, you're never gonna be perfect. But that was, you know, those guys are great. Again, there are different types of musicians all over, and from different parts of the world, different things. Fuck it. That was a great job.